Larry Dignan, it is time for the year in review. The cloud, I feel like we talk about the cloud every year, but this year the cloud felt like it matured a little bit.
Yeah, it matured a lot. AWS, they did a big deal with VMware, which started in 2017 and kind of rolled into 2018. That really scaled up. IBM bought Red Hat. Google grew up a good bit. So what you're seeing from the cloud providers is basically they're acknowledging that you're going to have multiple clouds and you're going to have multiple data centers and everything's going to be kind of hybrid. And where that gets interesting is it's sort of like a dose of reality for the cloud, and they're so more intertwined today than they were just 2 years ago. So what you're seeing is you're seeing the field sort of winnow down a bit, where it's Microsoft Azure, AWS, Google, they're the big three, and then you have everybody else plugging into that. But this was the year where sort of the dream of sort of this utility computing idea, where very similar to the way you plug into electrical utility, that's where the cloud's sort of going. And this year was a lot of building blocks for that, so it's matured a lot.
All right. This is the year that Apple has decided to stop reporting iPhone numbers.
Right.
Are we at peak Apple?
We're totally at peak Apple. The reason is, and it's not necessarily Apple's doing, you can only have so many devices. And if you make a good device, they tend to last for a while. So the iPhone upgrade cycle used to be tied to 2-year contracts, so that created like an artificial sort of upgrade path. Now we're looking more like cars, right? Where you pay off your car and you're like, you know what? It's kind of nice not to have a car payment, so I'm gonna stretch this out a little bit. iPhone's similar, right? You lease them, you pay them in installments, and then you're kind of like, if the phone's good enough, I keep it. So what you see when Apple does that, where they go, we're not going to report units on Macs or anything, they've kind of reached the peak of their popularity. And as a result, they're really focused on services and squeezing more money out of you, which is good for Apple. Like, Apple can continue to make a ton of dough with revenue that's more predictable and frankly higher margin. But if you're a supplier to Apple, you're kind of hosed.
All right, Facebook. Facebook is not really about Facebook. It's about big data and all the data that many web firms gather about you. But Facebook is in a particular spiral. Is this a downward spiral, a death spiral, just a weird spiral?
I don't know if it's a death spiral. It's definitely a spiral. Because just anecdotally, I run into more and more people getting off Facebook, minimizing their time on Facebook. It's just a bunch of crap. And the work it takes to actually set up your friend list so it doesn't give you agita, like, I recommend everybody just deactivate your account for a month and see if you miss it. And you're shocked by how much time you have. Even if you were good about not spending your life on there, you realize there's a good 7 hours of your week that came back. So I think a lot of people are starting to ask those questions. And when you see the management issues they have, you see a blow up almost every 2 weeks. They really seem like they're under siege. And I think that's going to cause, the more they're in the news, A, the more sick we get of them, and then B, the more people actually start questioning their time on it. So I think that's why you see them doing time well spent. You see them focusing on a lot of different things. And I think it's going to be a big challenge for them. I think to me, it sort of looks like peak AOL was way back when. And I could see that happening to Facebook.
Do Google, Amazon, Microsoft, and the other big tech firms have something to fear by watching what's happening to Facebook?
I don't think they do. And the big reason for that is it's not necessarily about data, it's what you get in return. Facebook really gives you nothing. And at this point, even when they say, well, register for this or participate in this, so we can target ads better, that's not a return. Like, yes, Google has a lot more information on me, but those directions home in a traffic jam, kind of creepy, yet kind of helpful. So almost every transaction with Google or Amazon, definitely Amazon too, you get there's a transaction there, right? You're kind of like, all right, so there's a return to me. Where Facebook, I don't think that's there. Like, they've lost that whole return on investment plot on a personal level, and I don't think you can dig out of that. And I think the trust is gone too. So I don't think people trust the company overall. And then you just sort of, I just think a lot more people are going to start asking that question. So I'd say we're, peak Apple, which it's lowercase peak in that they can milk this thing for another decade and do really well financially. It's Facebook peak is more like all caps. It's like, thank God they bought Instagram because I think they're kind of hosed.
Data brings us to artificial intelligence, which we, just like the cloud, we will talk about in every single video that we do forever because AI and automation is at that scale. Help us understand where AI was in 2018 and where it's going in the future.
In 2018, I think a lot of the foundation was laid into wider adoption. So you saw a lot of the software companies step up their investment. You see, and the other thing that were 2018 where things got more mature is you saw companies like IBM talking about transparency in the algorithms. And you can see where it's matured to the point where they're doing more algorithms to govern the algorithms to guard against things like bias. Like the discussion about AI, like 2017 was like, ooh, it's going to be the best thing ever. 2018, it's a little more realistic. And I think they laid a lot of the groundwork to roll out more adoption in the future.
Last one. So it's impossible to look at digital transformation in business technology in 2018 without thinking about insecurity, hacking, cybersecurity, and especially when we saw the election just happen, the hype leading up to it was election hacking. So cyber is on everyone's mind, whether you're a consumer, whether you're business, and the cost of business can be extravagant. Where was cyber in 2018? Where are we going in 2019?
2018, I thought it was a relatively calm year. I mean, yeah, there were attacks, but there wasn't like the Equifax blowups. Like,
or Bad Rabbit or WannaCry.
Right, like 2017, there were some major blowups. 2018, for whatever reason, there were, there are always security issues and they're always big. But 2018 also seems like it was a little more mature, like companies were insured. It's become much more woven into the course of business, right? Like cybersecurity is just something you do. And I think all the talk about it with the elections and cyber attacks and all that, I think that's made everybody a little more wary and a little more cognizant of it. That said, I mean, 2019 could easily be a blow up. If you look at the actual incidents, they probably went up in 2018. But relative to 2016 and 2017, where you had these big screw ups, 2018 was relatively calm.